lead programmer with waterswebworks.com. Please visit our TeamDesk expert listing if you need assistance or have any questions, and we'll be happy to help.
Okay, let's start with defining the issue that we're trying to solve with relations. Okay, I'm looking at a list of contacts, and what we need is currently we need their address in here. If we view we don't have the person's home address. So what we want to do is slip over there to setup, and I always open it in a new window. And it's pretty simple. All we do is go in here and create some new columns. And what we want is their street. That's going to be text, city, text, state, text, and zip code, which typically is text. You might think it's a number, but there's reasons to make it text, but you could make it a number. Or they do have, you can make a number or text, whichever way you want. Now, when we go over here, we can edit and we can type this information. Now, here comes the problem. State. Well, I have to fill in the state. So I want to still fill in the state of Washington. I put it this way. For that person. Now, this person, I go ahead and put their address in, and I put it in like that. Now, when you have different people entering different things, they're going to put their information in. If you let them type it in, they're going to type it in any way they feel like at the time. In fact, if I'm filling in the database myself, I'm likely to put the same information in different ways on different days. That's just the way I am. So I'm not very good at spelling things correctly or doing things right. So it's not very good when you have a set of defined choices to actually have people type them in. So what we'll do instead, I'll cancel that. The one solution, of course, is to go into your columns, go into the state column, and add some choices. So you would do such as drop down, and you would add Washington, Oregon, Texas, etc., and you'd put them all in. That is a good solution for that. And then if we go and edit these, I can pick a state out of the list. Simple enough. So we can accomplish it that way. But another way we can accomplish it, and that works in many cases better, it does things differently, and we'll cover some of the differences here. But another way is we make another table called states. In states, all we do is list our states. And we're actually going to link this up in what's called a reference, a simple reference into our company contacts. So we're going to go back in here, and just so we don't get confused, I'm just going to delete the state. And look at all these warnings. Don't delete it. I deleted it. Okay, it's gone. We've lost all our data. That is not something you want to do lightly because you'll lose all your data. Now, the very, very first thing you do without fail whenever you're working with references and relations is, first thing is you go to database and you create a development branch. I don't care how often you do these, always make a development branch. All this, now you have a development branch. Now the next thing is, if we look, I have a development branch open, but I also had a non-development branch open over here. So as soon as you make your development branch, close all your other tabs. So all you have is the development branch open. That'll keep you from getting confused because you made a change in the development branch, and then you go to another table that's not the development branch, look and say, oh, it didn't change. Always do that. Good tip. So we're in here and we're in our development. Now we can start working with our references. So we do that, and I'm going to open setup again. In this case, I'm just going to work with existing content right here so you can see what's going on. Going down here, and we want to make a reference. We can use this button for references or this button for references. They actually are the same. I tend to use this one down here so I can see what shows up. Use this one, you might get confused a little bit. So let's go down and use this one. But they work exactly the same. So I want a reference to states. Save. And that's all there is to it. We have it there. And let's click back. And that puts us to our list. Now let's look at what happened. What's happened is it's made a reference right here. And this is actually, this part here is the relation. And then up here, right here is the reference. So it's multiple parts. It just automated some of it for you. So we have that there, this there. Now, when we go and look now here on this side, we go and edit a person. And now we have the state, and we can select it just like before. But there it is. Now, what's the difference between the two of them? And just doing it in a list? Well, for one, this is good training, and I can explain how it works a little better. The other difference is now someone from the front end can add states. So you can give someone access to this table so they can add new records. So right here, I can just add another state, Massachusetts. And now when we go back and we edit somebody, we now have Massachusetts right there. See? So we do have, that's one good thing to do. Another thing that's good or bad, depending on how you look at it, is we can change these if they're incorrect. So let's say we change Massachusetts, we can do, and we can say it's Massachusetts, like that. Now, that does something interesting. If we go over here to the contacts, it changes the existing records for the change. That's something you have to keep in mind when you build these and you build a reference like this. If you have a reference and you change the source of your information, it will change all the records over here. That's good and it's bad. Depends on how you do it. And there are ways to change that behavior a little bit. And I'll explain how to do that in a later class. Right now, let's look at what we did. So this is important. One thing that we did is right here is, this is tough to get your mind around. But what we're looking at here is the state. That's a set state as refer to state. Okay, that means that we're looking at this state right here. And what it's holding, this record right here, the reference is holding the ID of this other table. So when we're actually looking over here at state name, what are we looking at? Well, we're not looking at state because it says state name. We're looking at this one. And this is what's called a lookup. And that has the value of the state table. So I'm going to go up here and let's open up the state table real quick and look at it. The state table has one column. It's called name. But it really doesn't have one column. Let's look at the setup of it. No table has only one column. If we look at the existing columns, we have the name, which is where we put the state name. Okay. We also have a reference to trim out that part real quick. And if we go down here, we also have the company, the system columns. Their ID, record holder. These are always there. So we have the ID column. And the ID column is important. And so when we're looking at this right here, and this state right here is actually the ID column. So how do we know that? Well, let's take a quick look at it by doing this. I'm going to go to Views to illustrate it, and I'm going to customize the default view. And notice I have state name there. Let's pull state in next to it. Let's see. And go back over here, and I'm refreshing. Look at that. State is 5 for Massachusetts. State is 4 for Oregon. What the state column has is this ID. So if we go and look at the states and look at Massachusetts and view it, and look at the system column, it's number 5. Going back over here, company clients, it's 5. They match up. That's important to know. So this is why we make the dev branch, is because let's say we made a mistake and we want to undo our relations. So we go back here to columns, and I say, I did that wrong. So I'm going to start deleting things. Well, to delete it, we might go down here to references and delete this, oof. And it's saying, hey, don't do it. And so I delete it, and it's gone, right? But look what it did to state. It's left the state behind, and there's good reason for that, but it left the state behind, and it's no longer a reference. I go over here and refresh. All of a sudden, I have a column called state with numbers in it. It did not put the text in there. It left what was in there, which was just ID numbers. And we have to remember which one of these we want to get rid of. And it just, if we had a big database, we made it, we weren't paying attention, figuring out what we left behind and deleting is kind of difficult. But if we had the dev branch, we would just go to the database, dev branch, and say not promote, delete the database. And there we are. We're back to where we started. And there we go, without that reference we made. So that's why we always make a dev branch before we mess with it.